everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of Boston Sports Nuts. Today is April 27, 2026, and there's so much to talk about. This is one of those rare shows where we actually have a lot of news for all four major sports teams in Boston. So I'm Paul Izzo, along with my good buddy Ken Berman. Ken, welcome to the show.
Hey, Paul, I just want to know, are we starting out with the new women's professional soccer league team?
No, we're not going there.
Oh,
And we have Jim Russo here. Jim, all the way from Rhode Island.
So, Paul, this is one of those shows where we say there's a lot to talk about, and there's actually a lot to talk about.
Yes.
Instead
That's
of
a
us
good
just
point.
talking.
That's a really good point. So we got a little basketball, baseball, football, and hockey to go over. So we're going to start with the Boston Celtics. As of this taping, they're up 3-1 in the big opening round series against the Philadelphia 76ers. Fascinating game yesterday. You know, Philadelphia looks like they're about to tie the series. They get their former MVP, Joel Embiid, back in the lineup. He's back from his appendicitis operation. And the Celtics win the game anyway. In fact, they win it going away. So I'm going to start with my basketball Hari Krishna expert, Jim, to break down that game for us and get us started. Jim, take it away.
Yeah, I mean, the top story going into the game was Embiid, but clearly coming out of the game, it was Peyton Pritchard. Tatum and Brown was struggling, and Pritchard came into the game and just went off. I mean, he got open threes, he made them. For the first time all series, he was able to get into the paint and take those patented mid-range jump shots he likes. And he even got one of his patented right-handed layups where he doesn't have to touch the ball with his left hand, and so the defender has to reach all the way across, and quicker, taller guy couldn't get to the ball. I mean, it was just a tremendous performance. And of course, highlighted by the buzzer beater in the first quarter, end of the first quarter. Just, one-legged LaMelo Ball three to end. It's just phenomenal what this guy is doing. As far as Embiid, I mean, he started off, kind of reminded us what he could do. He got 8 in a row. And then, the guy came back 6 days before anybody else usually comes back in the NBA from that type of injury. So kudos to him for playing, but he clearly wasn't in top form. And I think in the first half, Maxey only took 3 shots. So, just a tough day for Philly and a great day for Boston where they got a lot of contributions. I thought Scheiman, again, played very well, very well.
Yeah.
And they're up 3-1, but as Dave Collins, my all-time favorite Celtic, once said, it's not a 7-game series. It is 7 one-game series. So the score is 0-0 Tuesday night. The Celtics got to do it all again, but superb performance.
Yeah. Ken, go ahead. I got a few things, but I want to hear from you.
The first half was interesting because the Celtics literally got nothing from Brown, Tatum, or White in the first half, and they were up 20
right
at halftime with those 3 guys really. By the way, they got 2 threes from White all game, although a couple of phenomenal blocks. In the first half, to get nothing from Tatum, Brown, and White and be up 20 because your bench and Peyton Pritchard just go bananas. Pritchard was just so confident and his shot was so pure. I mean, I don't think he hit the rim once. I mean, everything was net. Going into that, I talked to my son, Aaron Sports Nuts Berman, a couple of days ago, and I said, it looks like there's a chance Embiid will be back for the next game. And he goes, good. I said, what do you mean good? He goes, it'll take Maxey out of the game. It'll just change with everything they'll do. And he goes, I'm happy he's coming back. I go, you've got to be out of your mind. Embiid's a nightmare. Well, sure enough, Embiid got his, but they tried so hard to get him involved in the first half that what Jim just said, Maxey took like 0 shots in the first quarter. Edgecombe had like 1. Oubre had none. Like nobody else, and yet, you know what? He ended up being their leading scorer, I believe, with 26 points. But nobody else was a factor. So, interesting game. And then just to start the second half, they held Brown and Tatum to really nothing, as I said in the first half. And then the two of them just went off in the third quarter and put the game away. Both guys just had huge third quarters, and when they both play like that or shoot like that, the Celtics are really, really tough. So listen, big win, but like you said, one more game. Take care of business. Pritchard said, we got to take care of business the next game.
Yeah, I texted you guys during the game and I said, I feel like Embiid coming back in has kind of upset Philly's mojo. Interesting stat about the game is that Maxey actually shot well. He shot 50% from the floor. The problem was in 40 minutes, he only took 14 shots.
Yep.
Think about that.
Took
That means he's
31 the
only
last
shooting
game.
once every 3 minutes. So he just wasn't getting the ball. In fact, I think in the first quarter, they mentioned that he had not even taken a shot.
Yep.
Now, some of that was defense, but I think that, Philly was obviously trying to get Embiid going. It's kind of it was kind of an interesting dilemma for Philly. How do we work this guy back in who's maybe our best player when he's healthy without upsetting the other guy who thinks he's the best player? Not an easy thing to do. One other thing that I thought was fascinating about the game was during the game, Tirico and Reggie Miller pointed out what a deep bench the Celtics have. Nobody was saying that on opening night. Nobody was saying Jordan Walsh, Baylor Shireman,
Right.
all these guys are a deep bench. They were saying, how are they going to replace Cornette? How are they going to replace Holiday? How are they going to replace, name it, Al Horford, and
Right.
now they had three centers in that game. Not many NBA teams can trot out three centers who were all productive.
Right.
Right. They're all different. Kate is a little bit more of a defensive presence, a little more menacing physically under the basket. Vuk is a little bit more of a stretch, the court kind of guy. Garza's more of one of those shooter centers, but they're all effective to a degree.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. I think,
interesting.
yeah, I think that from Philly's point of view, if you just look at that starting five they rolled out last night, it's fantastic. Arguably one of, if not the best in basketball. Not the problem, but the thing with the starting five like that is the same thing that the Celtics have had on several occasions with Tatum and Brown. Now, the Kyrie team with Tatum and Brown never worked it out. With Gordon Hayward and Al Horford, they never worked it out. The KP team, who also had a tremendous starting five with Holiday, worked it out, and Derek White, and they played great. The thing with Philly is two factors. One, Embiid, what kind of condition he is, but also the factor of when you got that much talent and you're trying to work it out on the fly, you don't have a training camp. You don't have for everybody to get their role. For instance, Scal firmly believes it's up to Maxey to get more shots. He thinks that Maxey is laying back a little and he should not be. That's Scal's opinion. And I certainly respect that. But, it can't be easy for Nurse. I'm not making excuses for him, but to do it on the fly is tough. Really tough. And Embiid is not the player. Clearly, he was in his MVP season. I think Scal is right. He cannot play both ends of the floor right now as effective as he used to be because he's not in that kind of shape.
I know coaches don't like to do this because when Tatum was ready to play, they put him right in the starting lineup.
Yeah.
Played. But I think last night would have benefited Philly if they went with the five that had been starting the first few games and then brought Embiid in. He clearly is not in great shape. First of all, he's never in great shape. That's been one of the complaints about him the last few years, that he's never in great shape. But, to be out 2.5 weeks after appendix surgery, I'm not sure he was like killing himself in the gym. It might have been a good move for Nurse to let the team that had been playing pretty well start the game and bring him in. Like,
Yeah, that's interesting, Ken. And the other thing he could have done is instead of starting Bona, he could have just moved Drummond to the first team
yeah,
so that he's in essence the backup center, but he's starting. Because
yeah,
Drummond, Bona's I thought has played pretty well on defense,
he has.
but Drummond's been the better overall player. And that's an interesting point, Ken. That you know what? I wouldn't be totally shocked if they don't do that in Game 5.
I wouldn't either, to tell you the
Yeah,
truth.
yeah,
Tell
Because
the truth.
they were out
yeah.
of their flow in
A
that
couple
game.
of things with the Celtics that I think are worth looking at as we're going forward. One, last night was great, no doubt about it. But it was kind of Hayden Pritchard just takes over. And in the third quarter, I think it took near the end of the quarter till anyone else got a point but Tatum and Brown.
Yeah.
Now, it worked last night, but the last few years, the Celtics have played much better when they share it rather than guys going into takeover mode. So I'd look for that on Tuesday if somehow they can just spread it out a little more consistently. And the other thing is, the threes were going in. They took over 53s again. And
24.
yeah, and I still think Tatum and Brown, especially Brown, has got to make better reads when he gets into the paint because I was watching closely last night and they just surround that guy.
Yep.
I mean, Philly, Ken, you pointed this out after game one. Philly is so quick. Celtics really don't beat them off the dribble very much. So Brown has a guy on his left, and then a guy comes right at him. And something I pointed out, if I were a defensive coach against Brown, I'd be trying to steal it from his blind side.
Yeah.
Because I think he's vulnerable there. He's just got to make reads to kick it out when he gets surrounded like that. And recognize how quick Philly really is. And then, hopefully his teammates make the shots for him. And then if they make the shots and they don't do it, just go all the way. It's kind of more of a team effort, but hey, it worked.
Yeah.
They played great.
But
Paul, good point about the three centers because Kata cannot keep getting in foul trouble like this.
Yeah.
No.
Paul, you had some good stats the other day on a text about Celtics are better when he plays. I mean, they really are. He's just better.
Yeah.
Better.
Hey, protects better than anybody they got.
He's become a legit player. He's now talked about in national media. He's someone they talk about in the pregame. He blocks shots. He also plays with a little bit of swagger, which I think is, Debbie always laughs at him. He acts like he's a six-time NBA All-Pro, the way he walks up and down the court. He doesn't look like he's overwhelmed by the moment. And that's important quality in an athlete, especially somebody who, they got off the scrap heap when they got him. I mean,
and I think him getting in foul trouble, you can see why they got Vucevic because he's more physical than Gaza. And in the playoffs, we all know it's more physical, especially when you got centers like Drummond and Embiid and Bona. Two of those are extremely physical players, and the other's a shot blocker. And Gaza's played well too. I thought Joe used Gaza very well, as Paul pointed out. They used the third center because Kate is out of the game in 2.5 minutes.
They've got to knock that off.
They are clearly the best when he's on the court.
I'm sure somebody could look this up. I am not interested in looking it up, but we played 14 guys last night. Kind of interesting.
Yeah, because it was a
blowout. They have 15. Wonder who didn't play.
Williams.
Amari Williams.
Oh, Amari Williams. You're right. He didn't get in the game.
Yeah, Shulga made a 3.
He made a 3. Yep.
Yeah. Good for him.
Yep.
Hey, Jim, they did change up what you were complaining about, I think, from game 3 to 4, about drop coverage, because they chased Maxey around every pick. And
they've been better. And I think what they're doing now is instead of being in total drop, while some of the centers are not coming up to him like Al Horford used to guard guards,
Yeah.
they're close enough that they're making Maxey think about taking the immediate three now. And I think that's a subtle shift. In other words, they're not totally in drop. So when Maxey comes off the pick, instead of being here and drop, they're here. So they're not right on him because they're too afraid he's going to blow by them.
Right.
And so
All right, so
far,
we gotta-
yeah, I think it's been more effective. No doubt about it. And of course, Maxey shooting 3 shots doesn't help in the first half.
So we'll see what happens in game 5. I'll just go around the table once. Any other comments you want to make about the NBA playoffs in general? We got to get on to the Red Sox.
Yeah.
Go
Ken, you
ahead,
wanna
Ken.
go first? I'll go
Yeah,
next.
you got anything?
Let Jim go.
All
Jim
right.
go.
Quickly, the Detroit thing, Pistons fans must be down 2-1, and Jaren Duren is just, I mean, he's probably going to make one of the 3 All-NBA teams. He's just not playing well. Nothing against him, and the Magic finally have their starting 5 healthy, and it's pretty good. So that's Cleveland. I mean, 89 points against Toronto in Toronto. I know it's in Toronto, but come on. So that's 2-2. That's a surprise to me.
Yeah, me too.
The Knicks 2-2. Frankly, I think I'm going to say that series is over. I know that's crazy in this NBA. I know it's crazy, but I think the Knicks are going to win in 6. I think they found their stuff in Game 4. They're going to win 5, and they'll win 6. In the West, OKC's been as dominant as we expected them to be, but Jalen Williams is hurt, and that's something to look for. He's arguably the second best player. San Antonio looks very good. They, Wembanyama is awesome. Little controversy about whether he could have played in Game 3, but they're up 3-1. They'll wrap that up in 5. The Denver Minnesota thing.
Wow.
Dante goes out, and then Ant-Man goes out, and goes absolutely berserk. Scores over 40 points. Chicago fans must be apoplectic because they traded him for nothing.
Right.
And Minnesota's now up 3-1, trying to clinch a series without those 2 guys. So this is, and Jokic is probably at his worst series as a pro.
Yeah.
The Lakers finally lost. They should have lost Game 3, and they're down 3-1, which I think for us anti-Laker people, it's only a temporary reprieve. And then
I'm happy that they lost.
Yeah, and I think that's about it. The Lakers will move on.
Jim,
I think
your point about Jokic, Rudy Gobert is a really good defensive center.
Yeah.
And that's who he's up against every minute.
Right.
And it's just not Jokic is probably, like we say, the best all-round player in the league. But Gobert is one of the best defensive players in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And he's taller, longer, and more athletic than Jokic. And he's making him have like a nightmare, I think. He's not sleeping at night or something over that.
Yeah.
And there are a couple. I think I said in one of our shows that I thought the Atlanta-New York series could be a long one, that Atlanta could be tough.
You did.
I think the Knicks are going to win it in 7, not 6, but I think Atlanta's showing that they're a pretty good team. Paul?
I do think the Knicks eventually will win that series. I don't know if it'll be 6 or 7, but Atlanta really needed to win Game 4.
Yeah.
You're seeing injuries come into play again in the postseason.
Yeah.
Almost every night, there's either a guy out for the year or a guy who's going to miss time. Guy gets a concussion. Guy gets seriously injured. It's so much more intense. The good news I think the Celtics right now have had the best performance in the Eastern Conference. They had a tough opponent in Philly. They're up 3-1. They've won at least 2 of the games going away.
Yeah.
The good news for them is if they make the finals, they only have to play one of those Western Conference teams.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't have to play them all because they, as a whole, when you watch the West, you go, oh, these teams look quicker, bigger, faster. But whoever it is, they just got to get there. It'll probably be Oklahoma. But
yeah, I think the objective NBA fan that doesn't have a preference right now, the series I would be waiting for is Oklahoma City, San Antonio. That's the one to me. The generational player, good young team. I favor OKC against the defending champs.
Two
Every
generational
bit as
players.
athletic as OKC.
Yeah.
That's the one I think the casual basketball fan would really be looking forward. If it happens, the Lakers are playing great, and they don't have Doncic and Reeves. It's scaring me. But anyway.
Yeah, but they're both just about ready to come back, from what I hear.
Oh, I don't expect Durant to play in Game 5. I expect the Lakers to win that, and they'll have a week off.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to the Red Sox.
Woo!
Hopefully the Celtics wrap this up soon. A lot of news of the termination of longtime manager Alex Cora, one of the winningest managers of Red Sox history. Termination of several of his bench coaches. We don't need to run down the names. Third base coach.
Well, one of them is Veritek.
Well, Veritek was designated for reassignment as a coach, but it's unclear if he's going to accept a reassignment.
He's not.
It looks like that the terminations have more to do with the offense than the pitching, because most of the hitting coaches that were dismissed had something to do with offense, batting strategy. Huh?
3 of them.
Yeah. So I'll get started on this one. I think this was long overdue. It has nothing to do with my thinking that Cora was not a good manager. The truth of the matter is, I don't believe that baseball managers are as important as coaches are in some of the other sports. I think baseball teams are, for the most part, collections of talent. As long as they have competent coaching, they should be good enough. I mean, how many genius managers did that? You know, Joe Madden was a genius, and then this guy was a genius, and now Dave Roberts is a genius. You know, it's like, really? He's got he's got the murderer's row lineup.
Right.
That's why he's a genius.
Yeah.
So, and you remember the old saying, Jim will remember, Casey Stengel. I knew him before and after he was a genius, someone once said. So I don't really think that's why it was time for him to go. I just think they needed to do something. He looked, body language wise, like he was bored in the dugout, that he was fed up. And his social media posts after his termination seemed to suggest that he was happy that he was let go. He's going to get paid. I wouldn't be so happy if I were one of the assistants, but I just think it was time. We can talk about the baseball stuff later, but they had to do something to try to salvage this year. It doesn't get Breslow off the hook. It doesn't get John Henry off the hook. It doesn't get any of those guys off the hook.
Right.
I just think it was time for Cora to go. That's my take.
Yeah. The question to me is, should have it happened before the season started instead of into the season again? But it's obvious that there was a disconnect between Cora and the people above him. I mean, he's made all sorts of comments over the last few years about the roster he's been given and, how many young players I got to develop. And they just, everybody in every organization, needs to be on the same page. And it just didn't feel like these guys were on the same page. And I'm with you, Paul. I'm not letting Henry off the hook. I'm not letting Sam Kennedy off the hook, Breslow, any of them. They need more talent. We've said since the beginning of the season, they got no pop in the lineup. Of course, it's ironic they fire him in the day he gets 17 runs, but that's, another story.
By the way, he was the first manager to be fired after winning a game by 16 or more runs since the 1880s.
Yeah.
It's somebody actually found that.
And is it also, true? I think we've said this a lot of sports managers, coaches, there's a shelf life. And it's eventually that's it. You've run out. It's all done. You got to make a change for a change's sake. So, interesting news out of the Boston Red Sox. I don't know if it makes them a better team or not, but obviously the new manager's Jim put it as a genius.
Yeah,
he's undefeated.
Listen, if Alex Cora is frustrated, if Alex Cora is bored, I don't know that for certain, but he could be. Then it was necessary. If he's just had enough and he just doesn't want to walk away, then it was not. Other than that, he's one of the best managers in baseball as far as I'm concerned. And this team is a problem with the roster, and they have not addressed the people who are responsible for the roster. They are not addressing the people who gave him 5 players for 4 positions, 4 of whom are left-handed. They have not addressed the problem of, and I know it's just a group, but like Fangraphs or StatsGraphs saying they don't have a player that can hit 20 home runs. They have not addressed third base problem because they decided that $31 million player wasn't worth it. And then they didn't want to sign his replacement. And maybe they were right not to sign his replacement. But the guy that got to replace him is hitting under 200 and has no power. No power. They did not, they've not addressed the guy who's the owner, who I think is responsible for losing Mookie Betts and Xander Bogaerts. Because this thing goes back to Betts. I'm sorry. So, yeah, if he was frustrated, and also, the idea that players need to change, maybe Alex Cora, maybe they just needed to replace Cora because he's bored. But this isn't the 60s, 70s, and 80s. These guys haven't been on this team that long. Alex Cora has coached Roman Anthony less than a season. Marcelo Maya, less than a season.
Yeah.
Wilson Contreras, however many games they've played this season. Caleb Durbin, his third baseman, however many games they've played this season. His outfield, he's coached a couple of years. His starting catcher, he's coached a year and 20 games, 35 games, 36 games. And his backup catcher, he's coached a couple of years. His starting rotation, he's in his second year with Crochet, his first year with Gray, his first year with Suarez. So it's not like these guys have heard, like Bill Russell heard Red Auerbach all those years, or, Michael Jordan heard Phil Jackson, or Steph Curry's heard, Steve Kerr.
Yeah.
I think this is a cop out by the Red Sox, unless they saw he was frustrated and, as Ken said, showed his displeasure with the roster one too many times. Then I think it's probably justified. Other than that, it's just a cop out. It's just like dumping Devers.
I don't disagree with any of that, but I think both things can be true.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that if they are going down a path, they have to have somebody aligned with that path, right? Because having discord creates a second problem. I mean,
yeah.
If they're going to go on the cheap, then get a manager that's comfortable with that.
Right.
Like, you don't go get a big market manager to manage a small market lineup. That doesn't make any sense. I guess the other thing I would say is, if this was PR driven, then it was a smart move, because the perception of ownership is that they don't care. And by making this bold move, whether it's a good move or not, I'm talking PR nonsense here, it makes it look like they care. And that may be all that it's designed to do. Yeah, they have to pay. Let me just finish it. They may have to pay Cora $3 or $4 million a year, but that's a small investment to buy them some more time to say, it wasn't us. It's not the roster, it's the manager. And maybe they get the inevitable regression to the mean where they go 16-12 in May, and they can say, you see, it was about the manager. So I'm sure that factored into it.
Yeah.
I'm sure that factored into it.
That would be temporary, and it would require them to, as you said, regress to the mean. But I also found it very troubling how Craig Breslow said this move shows our belief in this roster. And in an interview a couple of days ago before the firing with Tom Caron, I didn't see it, but I think Dave O'Brien said it. He said the solutions are on this roster. Boy, I'll tell you, if he really believes that, I hope he's right, but I don't know.
I don't
know. I mean, he himself said they didn't address the power thing. So, we'll see. I mean, Tracy's 1-0.
Yeah, he's a genius.
Well, one thing that was apparent yesterday, they were going the other way. They had several hits where The lefty grounded it through the shortstop hole. The righty hit the ball into the gap in right center. Was that something they talked about before the game? Hey, we got to change our approach. We'll see. But it was noticeable. Now it's only one game. Could have been random. Could have
I
been
think it was
luck.
random because there's no way Cora hasn't told them to do that. There's
Well,
no
you
way.
don't know that, Jim. I don't know that.
Yeah, but
He
I mean,
might have.
Maloney's been talking about it every game. It's
Well,
just,
he's talking about them not doing it.
well, that's the factor. Is are they not doing it for him, and maybe they do it for somebody else? The other big thing was the 4 stolen bases. However, they got on base, so they're you
Well,
can't
right,
steal
yeah.
unless you get on base. So they
Right.
did get on base. So we'll see.
Yeah, well, if they're going to be more aggressive on the base paths, count me out because Bill James proved years ago you get thrown out on the bases. You got to have 5 stolen bases to make it worth it. It's
Well,
just
they had 3 outs on the bases and 4 stolen bases.
yeah.
3
Just
outs on the bases.
Yeah. Yep.
That's
are we talking
that's
the YD Red Sox or the
that's
never mind.
that's 3 too many on the
Yeah.
base.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Although one of them you could say Tracy should have challenged, but some reason he chose not to. But
Well, if you
I mean,
look
it
around
must have been his video guy said don't.
we don't have time to dive deep into all of MLB, but I just wanted to say that there are other teams that have kind of gone off the rails early. Obviously, the New York Mets were one. They had a huge losing streak.
Yeah.
Philadelphia's unhappy. There's rumors about Cora landing in Philadelphia to try
Yeah.
to turn that team around.
Yeah.
So not everybody's running
Toronto
away with,
too.
what's that?
Toronto's not off to a great start either.
No, they were in the World Series.
They got a lot of injuries.
Hey, Paul,
Yeah.
you follow the social media stuff a little bit more than I do, or maybe more than I don't know about you. But I heard some chatter from street fans that they were more upset that Cora got fired than Breslow or upper management got fired. Did you hear much of that? Like,
Yeah, I think Cora has a lot of support in the blogosphere and the fanosphere, and Dan Shaughnessy at the Globe War. He got on in that mix. I just think this was inevitable.
yeah,
He's been there a long time. They haven't performed. That's what happens in baseball. By the way, I've said this on this show for 30 years. I like longtime managers and coaches.
yeah,
I like sticking with a guy. I liked having Brad Stevens for 8, 9 years. I liked having Bill Belichick for 25 years. I liked it when Terry Francona was there for 8 years or whatever it was. I think that's smart. I don't have a problem with it if you have
same
the
here.
right guy in place.
But to sum up, I think too, like you were saying, he's frustrated and not on the same page. You look at the Celtics. Speaking about Brad Stevens, Brad Stevens was hired because Doc Rivers basically told Danny Ainge, I can't go through another, I don't want to go through another rebuild. Doc Rivers rebuilt that team. He won a title. And then, the guys got older and Danny was going to rebuild the team. Doc was upfront about it. The Celtics traded him
That's
to
right.
the Clippers and then made the great move to hire Brad Stevens. So maybe Cora was where Doc was, but he wasn't willing to walk away like Doc was.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
wonder if Doc regrets that decision in hindsight. I
yeah,
mean, he was only a couple of years away from getting Brown, Tatum, et al.
Yeah.
And the Celtics probably would have kept him,
Oh, I think they would have. Danny loved him.
yeah.
and now he's bounced around. I mean, where is he today? I mean, he's coaching rec. I don't know.
He's out. He's out of the NBA
No,
right
I
now.
know. I mean, he
Okay.
doesn't have a job.
Right.
At
All right,
another
we got to
time,
move on, guys. We got to
yeah,
move
but
on.
Paul, let
Anything?
me just say at another
anything last?
time,
Go ahead, Ken.
when we have nothing to talk about, we can talk about the Danny Ainge led team in Utah because if I was a Utah fan at this point, I'd be, what in God's green earth are you doing?
Well, he's made a lot of moves. I'll give him that.
Yep. Okay, that's it.
All right. So let's go to the Patriots. They just had their draft. Last week I did a mock draft. I'm going to give myself a C plus. Um, and I give myself a C plus because I got a lot of positions correct. I knew they would take an offensive lineman in round 1. The guy I wanted wasn't available, so they went to the next best guy. I wanted them to get an edge rusher in round 2. They did get an edge rusher. After that, it's kind of a crapshoot. There were a couple of players they passed on that I really liked. Takario Davis being the most notable, the big cornerback. But, you know, it was kind of a meh draft for the Patriots. There isn't anybody, with the possible exception of the second round pick, the edge rusher that people are really that jazzed up about. The Notre Dame tight end looks to be an interesting player. They signed a ton of free agents,
Did they?
including, I think, 3 running backs.
Wow.
So now they have 12 guys under contract for running back. Obviously, they're going to have to pare that down. So, you know, there was no Drake May, there was no Dante Hightower, Gerard Mayo. There was none of those glamorous first round picks.
Well, you
A lot
gave
of people
yourself a
think that
C plus. What are you giving them?
I'm giving them I don't know. I
Okay.
don't know. I mean,
A
I
good
think
grade.
they in their first 2 picks, they did. I think they met the Jim Russo, Paul Izzo combined test. I think they got the best player available at the end of the first round, and it happened to be a guy they need. He was a highly regarded tackle that a lot of people thought would go earlier. They need offensive linemen.
Hmm.
In the second round, they got a highly regarded edge rusher who they traded up to get, moved up in the second round, and they needed an edge rusher. So you can quibble about whether they got the best player available, but they didn't reach. They got highly thought of players in the first and second round that meet needs of the team.
Okay.
As long as
So
they
all
don't
in all,
reach,
I'd say it
I'm
was an
good.
okay draft. What's
I'm
that,
good
Jim?
as long as they don't reach.
Yeah,
I'm good.
yeah.
I think I just look at it overall, not knowing the players as well as you do. And my biggest take, well, I guess I got a couple. One, it just strikes me as they took a player, which they had to do, at the same position they took a player at 4 last year.
Yeah,
And that bothers me while acknowledging it was necessary because it clearly implies, hey, we might have made a mistake up there. And another one of my things about drafts, whether it's the NBA or the NFL, is when you're in the top 5, 6, you can't make a mistake. It's franchise altering to make a mistake. Happens in basketball. Golden State Warriors unbelievably had number 2 one year. James Wiseman.
Yeah.
It's affected the franchise going
Right.
forward. We can go through a lot of those mistakes. You can't do it. And, you know, as someone wrote, you can't help but go back to that game that they won because they would have traded that number 1 pick and got a haul. I mean, there were other trades in that round. Probably could have got a haul and still got Will Campbell. So, and the second point I have is that this is a football guru's draft for the Pats to me. This is the guys, and credit to them, they love it, who, you know, read the magazines, watch the film, who are really educated about it because there's no star power. There's no Drake May. There's not even a Travion Henderson. People were hoping, hey, this guy, a lot of people like him. He's got potential. And sure enough, he broke some big runs, right? So this is the Football Insiders draft. And I think we got to wait till the season starts and to see how they did.
Yeah.
And it seemed to me the right way to go. So let's go.
So
Tee it up.
Paul,
yeah. Good point, Jim.
I'm
Really
giving
good.
you an A for your grade. 1, because you did all the research that Jim and I didn't do. 2, you had a clue who some of these guys were, and to me, there's just too many football players in college to even be able to decipher this without doing all the work. So I'm giving you an A. Okay. In the Patriots, as you said, I'm going to give them a B minus because they
Okay.
met some needs and hopefully they get 1 or 2 players that hit. That would be great. More would be better. But are you concerned at all that Mike Vrabel wasn't at day 3 of the draft?
Okay, 2 things. Number 1, first with regard to grading drafts.
Yeah. Yeah, I have
I
no
thought
clue
it was
why I
funny
gave a
that
B minus.
Fernando Mendoza, everybody gave the Las Vegas Oakland Raiders By the way, that's what they should call themselves.
Yes.
The Las
Good
Vegas
point.
Oakland Raiders.
Right. Good
Gave
point.
them an A for picking the guy that everybody agreed should be picked. So shouldn't that be a C?
Right. Right.
Think
They had no
about it. I mean,
choice.
great. One CBS or one of the sites I checked in 32 first round picks gave 27 A's. I mean, grade inflation is everywhere. It's even in mock draft grades. Okay. With regard to the Vrabel thing,
Where was it when I was in high school?
I know the whole Vrabel thing is just so weird at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, first of all, I believe that the reason he wasn't available on Saturday was because that's when the media really wants to talk to you. The draft is over. They're
Yep.
going to want to ask you about all the different picks. They're going to want to ask you how you did, what trades did you turn down, and they just didn't want him around for that. I don't believe for a second that his counseling couldn't wait one more day till Sunday or Monday. That's just odd. Okay. I don't buy that for a second. I think what really happened was they didn't want him around on the media frenzy day. Fact. Going forward, I still think there's a very good chance Josh McDaniels is the head coach this summer. I
Yep.
think that this story, it's the drip. Jim knows from politics. The drip, drip, drip. It's like Chinese water torture. It's oh, they were together 6 years ago, or the day he was, heard the latest. The day he was fired by Tennessee, he went with her to a casino that night. That was 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm not judging what a man chooses to do, to paraphrase Don Corleone. What a man chooses to do is none of my concern as long as it doesn't conflict with my interests.
It's conflicting with the Patriots' interest at this point.
It's too big a distraction to think that he's not going to be hounded by this all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And you can make all these nuanced arguments that it's different for Rossini because she's the journalist. She's the one honor bound by the journalism code. And he's a coach, and whatever he does on his spare time with a journalist, that's the journalist's problem. But that's just not how people think in 2026. They look at it like the woman got the raw end of this and the man did not. Whether or not you think that's right doesn't matter. A lot of times it's the story just gets bigger than the ability to control the narrative.
If I were the Patriots and him, I would bring him to a press conference that's advertised 2 days in advance so anyone can show up and say, ask away. But after today, we're done. We're not talking about it. If you ask about it, we'll go to the next person. We're all about football. But here's your chance, and we'll stay a while. We're not going to limit this. And Vrabel doesn't have to answer every question from their point of view. But he's got to do not the, oh, we're going to spring Vrabel on you when none of the reporters are there press conference. They got to do the open it up press conference. That's what I do. Now, but we'll see what they do. Oh, before we go, I'm only asking this, doesn't concern me that much, but it was heavily debated on one of my two favorite talk shows, Mad Dog Russo. So I would like to get your take on this.
Nice.
The
Can't
most
wait.
controversial. I'm sorry?
I can't wait to hear what this question is.
Oh, all right. The most controversial pick of the first round was the LA Rams. And they took Simpson, the quarterback, when they have Stafford. Their fan base, they came really within a micro whatever of making the Super Bowl and probably winning it the way the Pats played. Almost beat Seattle in Seattle. So everybody figures, oh, we went out and we got that cornerback, the best guy in football. Now we're going to have a pick at number 13. We're going to really beef up. This is our year. They take a project at quarterback who is not going to play. So they didn't help their team. And Russo's argument was they already got a first round pick. They got the cornerback. If that was the Pats in that situation, what would you have done? I mean, Oh, and Russo defended the
I
general
thought that
manager.
was
He's made a lot of great moves. He's made a lot of great moves.
no, a couple things. First, the Patriots connection. You remember that McVay laughed openly on
Yes.
camera when we
Yeah.
picked Cole Strange.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
So I would have been fun to see the Patriots laughing in the in the draft room.
Yeah.
The guys held over from the Belichick era.
Yeah.
I did not agree with that pick. I had very strong feelings about it. Number one, I didn't think they needed to take him in the first round. I don't think he was slated to go in the first round.
Right.
Number two, I agreed 1,000% with the viewpoint that this is a team poised to win right now
Right.
with a really established quarterback. And it was sort of odd not to either beef up the offensive line or address a more immediate need. So I thought it was a strange pick. Now, if he turns out to be, a 12-year starter in the NFL, then we'll all be proven wrong. Or maybe they had inside information that another team later in the first round was looking at him based on an interview with him. I've had a lot of phone calls with the Cleveland Browns or the Cincinnati Reds or whatever, and they're going to take, not Cincinnati Reds, Bengals, and they're going to take me. We don't know any of that stuff. Like, why did they take him at 14? But I did think it was a mistake.
Yeah. My take was, if you're that good, it's the NFL. There's no way you're finishing with the roster you have on opening day. Now, I get planning for the future, but if you can win it, and yes, the argument is Stafford could get hurt, but this kid, by all accounts, would not take them to a Super Bowl this year. So you got to hope Stafford is healthy. But you beef up because somebody's going to get hurt. And yeah, I found it very, again, the irony, I found it very strange.
Yeah, it was.
Very cold,
Like
strange.
nobody saw that coming. Nobody saw that coming, especially from them.
Oh, the fans, but then, although he had some defenders from LA on that show, or LA fans from that show too, because he's made so many good moves that they were including getting the cornerback. But most of the fans were just.
Does LA Rams have fans?
Yeah.
They have a few. They have more than some LA teams.
Yeah.
Okay.
But what's kind of funny is it really is hard to predict who's going to be a great quarterback.
Oh, sure.
It's just every year it's there's a guy on social media who I follow only because he was right about one thing, so I started following him. Who just hates Mendoza. Just hates him. Said he's a bust, guaranteed. Bet it. Bet he's a bust. What if he turns out he wasn't that crazy about Drake May, and Drake May went to the Super Bowl? Yeah, it's just.
Yeah.
And look at all the teams that passed on Lamar Jackson. Look at Mahomes wasn't taken in the top 3 picks.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Tom Brady was 199.
Yep.
Sometimes you get it right. Drew Bledsoe, #1 pick, great pick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Great pick. All right, so before we go, we got a few minutes. The Bruins have really crapped all over themselves in this series. It's funny, they've really struggled in the series at home after being one of the best teams in the NHL at home. They had 29 wins in the Garden.
Yeah.
But in recent years, in the playoffs, they've struggled at home. Part of that may have to do with the fact that they try to win those regular season games and the fans overrate them, and they get into the playoffs and they get exposed.
I was really wrong on this. I thought the Bruins were going to take the series over and beat up Buffalo and actually win this first round. But, oof, man, they have a couple of pathetic efforts and going down 4-0 in the first, how many minutes of that game yesterday?
Less than 10. Well, the 3-0, less than 10 minutes.
Yeah, down 3-0, less than 10, 4-0 in the first period, I think.
Right. Yep.
I mean, just a pathetic performance. This team, man, they got the greatest fans ever, obviously, the Bruins. They are the most loyal fans ever.
They have the best fans of any of the major sports teams.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if it's the biggest fandom. The Patriots are probably the biggest, but
yeah,
the Bruins fans are really loyal.
I mean, I don't, hockey's the sport besides soccer I played the least. I played a little pond hockey, but I watched the Bruins and they literally cannot get the puck out of their own end over and over and over again. And they just can't get it out of their own zone and they just keep turning it over. And they're just this is such a disappointing series to me.
Um, you know, classic Bruins playoffs, can't
Yeah.
score. We need a sniper. That was it in the old days. We got to get a sniper.
Needs,
And now I read the story about we need more from They need more from Pasternak. I read today.
well, he's played horrible in this series.
Yeah, but it's a pattern with the Bruins that they come into these playoffs, with the exception of the year they lost in the first round, where I gave them a lot of credit actually because they really built that team to a powerhouse. It was unfortunate they lost, but they come to these playoffs with one really solid line, and the other team shuts the line down, and then
Yep.
So it's just over and over and over again. And I ask the same questions I ask about the Bruins, and maybe it's not as prevalent today, but, our best players, they got to play defense, they got to back check. They never say, well, how come nobody on our other lines can score? Let's get somebody who can score. We'll worry about the other part of it, and teach, but, and the second thing that frustrates me about the Bruins is just, I said it earlier, I think on a prediction show, and I actually predicted it, that it would not stop, is that I don't know another team in professional sports where they constantly talk about their brand, what it means to be a Bruin, as if they're the Celtics, as if they've won 17 titles, as if they've won a title in more than 1 year since 1972. I mean, at least Heat culture has won 3 titles in the last 25 years.
Right.
Heat culture had Shaq and Wade. They had James Bosh and Wade. At least they did that. I mean, the Bruins, though, what it means to put this sweater on. I mean, guys, it's so.
What does it mean?
What
What does it mean? I mean, it's like, and it's their home ice. The regular season, we all know, is so different than the playoffs. The Bruins have always been a hard playing team. I'll give them that. But, with the travel differences, when you even out the travel, you even out the back-to-backs. Nobody's on a back-to-back here. Everybody's on the same travel schedule. They lost game 7 against the Blues there. They lose these 2 games. It's like,
yeah.
By the way, the Garden has hosted 4 playoff games postseason. The home team has lost 3. I hope that doesn't continue Tuesday night.
Yeah, really.
The road ice advantage.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. So the Bruins are the Bruins, and the Sabres have a better team. And, I hope I'm wrong. I like to get into the hockey playoffs with the Bruins. I've been watching the games, but it is frustrating. So.
Yeah, I'm definitely a bandwagon fan. If anybody's listening to this program, full disclosure, I don't know that much about the finer points of hockey, but I'm pretty good at identifying the better team. And I think the Sabres are the better team.
Yeah.
And they're playing better. And they're probably going to win the series. But you know what? If the Bruins win the next 3, who the hell knows? It could happen.
Yeah.
Oh, look, we've seen it too often in sports lately. The teams are much closer than they used to be when we were younger. So a 3-1 lead, it doesn't mean it's over anymore.
Yeah. Well, especially in hockey,
especially in hockey, but even in hoops, it doesn't mean it's over anymore.
Right.
And as I always say, the announcers are like, the Bruins didn't quit here, and I'm always like, why would they quit? It's like,
right.
They got pride. I don't say the Bruins don't have pride, or right. Philly doesn't have pride. I think Philly's going to come there to play. And by the way, you can tell when a team quits, and it's not as often as these as people say. You can tell.
Yeah.
And I don't think the Bruins will quit at all. I don't think Philly will quit down 3-1 either.
Hey, Swayman could start standing on his head.
And other than the last game, he hasn't played that bad. He's played pretty well. He's just last
Well,
game.
actually, he's being defended by the hockey media for
Yeah,
Sunday,
yeah.
and apparently, when he was taken out in the third period, whenever it was he was taken out, he yelled at the team.
Did he?
Yeah, he said something to them.
Yeah, they didn't play well in front of him. That's for sure.
No, no,
Yeah.
no. All
Well,
right, before we get
hopefully-
going, you
All
guys
right.
have any? You guys have any comments about any other things in the world of sports before we wrap it up?
Okay.
I got one.
Go ahead. I got one too. Go ahead.
All right. This is completely off the wall, but I decided the other day that I wanted to know a little bit more about men's and women's tennis because I kind of enjoy watching it and I'm behind the times. And so I pulled up the rankings of the ATP top tennis players in the world, and I only heard of like three of these people. They are all foreign, non-American.
Right.
Right.
Which I think, one of the things that golf has done well is they've made international play interesting with the President's Cup and the Ryder Cup and the tournaments in different countries, but there is still a lot of American players that we can get behind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Tennis is become mostly foreign.
Yeah.
And so you're watching these games because you don't have a team. Like if you live in Boston, you root for the Red Sox. If you live in New York, you root for the Rangers. If you live in Texas, you root for the Cowboys. Tennis, we always had Americans to root for. So Borg played Connors, we rooted for Connors, right? I, I don't know how you get into tennis. I guess you could pick a guy from Spain that you like better than the guy from
Yeah.
Slovakia or whatever. But I
Yeah.
don't know. I just think it's an interesting dilemma.
Yeah. When's the last time we won a Davis Cup?
Yeah, it's just interesting to think about. It's a completely un-American sport now at the top.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
completely forgot about the Davis Cup.
Yeah. Good point. My last comment is I think two interesting events in the world of golf yesterday. The first was in no particular order. Nelly Corda's dominant performance in the first LPGA major. I mean, it was incredible. She was just dominant. And then the last two rounds, she just worked her way around that golf course. She had a big lead, didn't put herself in bad spots. Just really intelligent golf. Where if she took some chances, she might have just shattered that scoring record. But the most important thing was winning, and she did it. And she did miss some short putts, but she said, today I was inspired to show young people, you can win even though you miss a couple of short putts. And great win. The family jumping into the homemade pond after to continue.
Yeah.
Great. And, she's American. She's won a gold medal. Certainly someone all Americans can root for.
I
And
think it put her number one in women's
I
golf.
put her
again.
back to number one. So kudos.
Yeah.
This year, every tournament she's played, she's either won or finished second, 5 or 6. And the other thing was, I usually don't even watch this event, which is the team event. And I like team golf. I love team golf. I love to play team golf. The Fitzpatrick brothers winning that tournament.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, they had like a 4-shot lead with 9 to play or 3 and lost it all. And largely because the number 3 ranked player in the world suddenly got a big slump. I mean, he was struggling. And the younger brother, who's won European tournaments, by the way, he's won
He's a good player.
DP World tournaments. He just hasn't won here. Was picking up the slack. He was hitting great drives, hitting the fairway. And then they were tied going to 18. It's par 5. Matt hits a great drive. And Alex hits a good wood. He loves his 9 wood. He hits it in the trap, but that's okay on a par 5. And Matt just stiffs it. And Alex eventually hits the one, the whatever it was, 18 inches. And he now has an exemption on the tour for 2 years, and maybe he can play more and the family can spend more time together. But watching the brothers, they had showed Matt winning maybe a U.S. junior title or something, and the brother was on the bag. And it was just, as Nance didn't do that. I think Andrew Catalan was the announcer. He said, a lot of golf is about family coming up and teaching the kids. And it was great to see his family. And it turned out to be a great event. And congrats to the brothers. It was great to see.
Yeah. Paul, my last thing is, first of all, I was going to congratulate Nelly Cotter on winning the first major of the year in women's golf, the Chevron Championship there. So, great performance. She's a phenomenal golfer, as are most of the LPGA players. If you ever watch, they are really phenomenal. Just really great golf on that. And two, watching Sports Center this morning while on the old treadmill, they were showing some highlights from different stadiums in baseball with home runs or whatever they call it. That they do something every day, and this one's gone or out of here, or I don't know, whatever. And I think they should, if baseball might say, hey, can you stop doing that? Because they showed the Kansas City Royals Stadium, and there was about 40 people in the whole park. In another stadium as well, there was literally nobody there on a Sunday afternoon game. And I said, boy, that's tough to see, showing highlights from a game where there's just nobody in the bleachers. There was nobody.
Right.
So just stood out to me watching that.
But you can't get a ticket to see the Savannah Bananas.
Right. Which I'm going to when they come here next.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, I'm going with Beth and Dave and Noah.
Yeah, I got tickets.
Oh, did you? At Gillette,
Yeah.
right?
I don't know how they're going to do it in Gillette, but that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So, all right, boys, we got to wrap this up.
Yeah. Like a Christmas.
Good show. See you next week.
Thank you for watching Boston Sports Nuts. You can find all of our episodes available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. For more information, go to westwoodmediacenter.tv or follow Boston Sports Nuts on Facebook, Instagram, and X.